Hey, Pat B.
And I'm Adam Willis.
I'm just Johnny.
Mix Macabre.
And this is the Geek Down on WEMF Radio. Leaping forward biotically. Love it. This is very inspiring. I'm weeping. And I get that look in the face. Yes, see, it's radio. Pause, back it up. Let's go, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of Geek Down here on WEMF. I am Pat B. To the side of me, I look to my main man. You're hairier than normally.
Am I hairier?
I don't know.
Is this my arms?
You look like the second day team.
Where are we at the lunar cycle?
Like you just came down.
It's like right when he gets out of the huddle in that first basketball game.
Yeah. Adam, I mean, that explains why you were busting layups before you got here.
Yeah.
I was wondering.
So, thank you. Yeah. Well, yes, I am Adam Willis.
Pleasantly
The
Yes.
cynical of men with black animals.
The hairy man part. Yeah. My back's not hairy, though. That's all that really matters to me.
Not here yet.
Breaking news. You heard it here first.
Anyways, Patrice, you're looking well.
That first HJ from Booth, you were right there. I am doing okay, my friend. It's been an interesting week ahead, and then a less interesting weekend, and now a stressful couple of days, and I'm happy to be here on the air where I can really vent.
Yeah, man,
know what I think.
you were bent out of shape last week, but we cheered you up. We got you, some good airtime. We had a good show,
did.
And that pumped your tires a little bit. I was worried about you going home. Like, I'm just gonna take this Uber off the cliff.
I was on cloud 9, 10, 11 stuff, man. No gas on myself. Beautiful.
Have some bugles and call it a night.
Thank you. All right, of course, we look over to the man looking very busy, just Johnny.
Yo.
He has no time for BS,
He has no time to introduce himself.
Yeah, no time for elaborate introductions, too. None of this.
My energy level's low. I need some more chocolate energy bars.
I got
but where would I possibly get some of those?
I don't know. Maybe go to the black market.
Here you go, bro.
I'm not charging you for plugs,
Got a
man.
Pringle
Let's pull out
stack.
the Pringle out of the pocket. We are prepared. Of course, I
Just sit here and eat Pringles in front of the.
Okay. Promoting the Actually, you know what? Pringles are really good for starting fire.
For you.
For me? No,
Period.
I can't have Pringles. Pringles are a bad thing.
Oh yeah, actually Pringles are not gluten free. They're fakey.
They're salty
Anyway,
carbs.
Pat's trying to introduce me.
Yeah,
I'm
those-
way
I'm so
more important
sorry.
than Pringles.
I'm so
Those
sorry,
helpful
man.
hints came from the one, the only Mix Macabre.
Yo, what up?
The slimiest of the slime.
I'm pretty slimy right now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you
You're fine. You're fine.
Yeah.
You look good. Come on.
Of course, keeping it sounding amazing, crisp and delicious every week. DJ Herbie Herb. Hey guys. I'm surprised.
Hello.
He really sounds like
Hi.
I couldn't give a room about being here. Get on with the show. He's all friendly this week.
What are you reviewing again? Yeah, it sucks.
And speaking of reviews, we have an awesome show lined up. We have reviews of Black Panther Adventures, the new comic line out of comic line. It's the new comic anthology out from
Right
Marvel
before
Comics.
the movie that's coming.
Yes, it
That's
is.
gonna be an event. Yeah.
Man,
Which
we
is
are a mere 96 hours away from the release. I
yeah,
am excited.
the highest selling. Well, the pre-ticket. You know
Pre-sale.
What I mean? Pre-sale.
Yep.
Thank you. That's the word I was searching for. Pre-sale
cats are
tickets
excited.
of any of the Marvel properties. People are pumped for this, as am I.
Can you blame them? This is an
I
epic
cannot.
event.
You're right.
History in the making. I've never seen folks so excited, so jazzed.
Angela Bassett, man. I'm serious.
You know
Like,
what, no,
I'm pumped for it.
I'm excited to see Angela Bassett's performance as well. Dude, I am so enamored with the fact that this has gotten so much love online.
But you know what I really, really don't like is I don't know if it was a tweet or something posted on their thing. It was I think it was directly from Marvel saying this is the first blockbuster by a black lead actor and something like that. That's just patently untrue.
No, very much so. But they'll push this type of
They
stuff.
are,
because-
but it's almost that's
they're
bad.
gassing,
That's not
they're
good.
gassing their own project. And also, keep in
But they're
mind,
pumping it up, but then there's just lying to you about this is a big deal for a lot of reasons, namely like that it is a predominantly black movie in terms of cast, in terms of who actually created this thing, but it is not the first whatever. Like people a lot, and that it's actually disrespectful. You know what I mean? Look at
Very much
Blade,
so,
look
but
at like
I'm trying to
Hancock, look at any of
compartmentalize
these things. You know what I mean?
And the worst thing I can do right now is let myself get mired in that. Well, I'm going to be upset at this, and I'm going to be angry, and I'm going to start.
No, just enjoy the movie.
Hates me
You're
because
right.
all that's going to
You're
do
right.
is put a negative air around what should be, and I'm hoping will be a very positive event. When this movie premieres this weekend,
Yes.
I'm hoping it's nothing but droves of positive.
And it should be just
And I'm
about the
hoping
movie.
is amazing.
and not about that tweet or about like all the way people like I think this movie's racist because they don't have enough, you know what I mean, stuff like that, which you're gonna hear. But let's tone all that out and enjoy this because this is a fantastic project that I think we're all excited for. Anyway,
Prepare for it's gonna happen.
everyone's protesting something now, and I think the Black Panther movie should be on the back burner.
Man, all I'm gonna say is I'm excited. You excited?
I'm excited.
Johnny, you excited?
I'm excited.
Nice.
I'm
Mix is
excited.
at full tumescence already. Herb, you excited? Herb, okay. Herb's trolling us, man. Never mind this dude. All right. Also, we have Divinity, Original Sin. Two. Excuse me.
The Deuce. We
Less
already
original sin.
reviewed that first one, didn't we? Did we not?
Original copycat sin. All right. It's less original sin. So the first time when you poked the badger with a spoon.
Yeah. You can take a spoon. You can craft with it. You can stir a pot to make some food. It's great.
Yeah. Part 2, you get to stir. You used to just
Wow.
put it in there.
Alright,
Now
Eddie-
you get to
Spicy.
Eddie is a reference falling flat on the Geek Down here. But no, it's okay, dude. I'm anxious to hear about this one. This is a Steam game. We mistakenly thought it was a Nintendo Switch game.
Mike
earlier.
just-
No, it's a Steam game. It also, I believe, came out on consoles, but
Okay,
I'll-
so it is out on Switch.
it's not out on Switch though. They
Okay.
announced it to come out on Switch probably sometime later on this year. I don't think they gave an actual release date yet. And that actually might tie into the console versions of it, where they announced as a full-blown package of here's the console ports coming. Switch was part of that announcement, and it took the forefront because it's Switch.
Okay, now I'm also wondering, like, if they're gonna go Switch and they've got all the consoles lined up. Are we gonna see some? Are we gonna see VR possibly?
VR for this, nah, it's just the way the game is presented. I just don't see it happening.
All right.
Perspective itself.
So my Virtual Boy dreams are dashed.
They are no black and red for you.
So looking forward to my dreams, man.
This
I
day
was
and
jazzed
age.
and ready.
Yeah, man. It's over for me.
It's okay. You'll still get
No
your
interest
for
at
the
all.
Engage. All right, and of course we have House Party.
Oh,
This is
thank
a
God.
new House Party. The new Ribald theme game that's out now. Actually, is it
House parties are my favorite, bro.
I was playing an advanced copy, so I think it's in beta. It definitely
Okay.
is not finished. Like it has a lot.
This will
that
make
needs-
House
Is it
Party
in
look
this
like House
movie,
Party 2.
Oh, don't say that. No,
Yeah.
when you see this game, we'll put up some video later. When you see this game, you'll find it is such a disservice to the legacy of Kid and Play.
We'll get there
I don't
later.
think
friends.
I don't think they can take any more blows.
We'll get there later, friends. We'll
Right.
have a nice chat about House Party.
Yeah, we got
goodness.
conversations coming.
Okay,
All right.
all right. To be continued, and we will lay in later on. But do
This
we
is gonna be
have to close
impossible
out?
to show a graphic for this game.
No,
I'm
there's
trying
For
to
a House
find
Party?
something.
There's got to be
good.
something. There's some nice
Yes.
bikinis that were worn.
Yeah.
Either everything's black boxed or sensor boxed or something.
You know
Show
what? Find one
something
that says
censored
censor
in
right
your
across,
mouth.
and I think the message will come across loud and clear.
Yeah. What's it? Oh.
Loud and clear and wet and
I was not warned that the game would be like this. I'm just putting that out there.
Did it shock you a little? You got a little.
Wait, it is
I got a little
impossible to shock the
I got
macabre.
verklempt.
That's the correct word. I
The
think.
macabre
Right?
one was
I started
shock.
schwitzing.
I think people will buy the game on
I
that.
turned
note
into a
alone.
Jewish person.
I got schwitzes and connecticazoid.
Turned Jewish.
Hey, I'm a sugar.
I don't feel good. I need to lie down.
Hey,
Did you just
I
say
will
the
say-
Meshuggah? That's
No.
super wrong.
They-
You're Meshuggah.
they must sugar. They must sugar. They must sugar releasing this. I only know so much.
What do we got?
Achenve.
What do we got?
I had a good one. You threw my concentration off. It's okay. It's all right. I was gonna take a
I just do my
Ah.
full review in Yiddish.
You undercut. my Yiddish
So
English.
anyway, about Black.
I'm at a loss. It's not good to be tongue tied when I got a microphone in my face to kill me.
Black Panther comic.
Yeah.
Let's go
No,
on
no,
an
no.
adventure.
We're gonna close out. We're gonna close out with the long-awaited, with bated breath. Adam has the inside stuff.
I was
on
holding my breath.
Cloverfield Paradox.
I thought we were ending.
We are.
All right. Then
I'm still in the.
We were
introduction.
giving the rundown.
you already brought it up.
Screw it. Look, I got to check out Black Panther Adventure, the new anthology from Marvel Comics. Dude, I expected this would be the latest installment from Ta-Nehisi Coates,
Yes.
who's been writing the Black Panther issues for the last couple of years. And this
About
is
a year,
actually,
right? Yeah.
it's been a while. It's been a couple of
Maybe. Yeah.
years. Or at least 1 year.
But
But
definitely a big deal when you get a guy of that caliber, the intelligentsia.
Yeah, when
You
he
know.
took on the writing of Black Panther, it was big news. It was good to get a prominent black writer on this title, which for a long time has been written by, and not taking anything away from them. There have been some really good stories, but Caucasian writers who didn't have the same world experience, personal life experience that we
And no experience
think
writing
should give
comics,
merit.
but like he was known for his, really intense, essays in the Atlantic, and obviously his book. What was the name of it? It was off.
I don't have the title.
World and Me, or one of those.
We
But
can
it's
Google that later on. But someone who has the personal insight
that pedigree,
to
right?
relate more to the character. Yes, that pedigree. Now this specific anthology, Black Panther Adventures, wasn't written by Coates as we initially thought, but is more of a lead-in, an introduction to Black Panther. If anyone who's unfamiliar, before the movie comes out this weekend, and I think it may mislead a few people because, as I said, I myself.
I think most people were probably going into it. I know when you said this is what you were reviewing, I'm like, oh, it's just the next one in the Coates line.
Yeah, if anything, I thought this would be along the same lines as any other title that carries the Adventures moniker on there. It looks like Batman Adventures.
And have you read any of the Ta-Nehisi Coates?
I've read a couple.
books?
The thing is, I was never a Black Panther reader. Like, it was never on my regular subscription list. But when he took over, I figured this is a big event. I'm gonna start collecting these issues, man, and see where it goes. It's going to great places. And then I read the first couple issues, and I'm like, I can't follow.
I did the same. I'm happy you said that because I felt the same way. I think there's so much praise coming out, and I feel like these people don't read comics.
Well, the thing is,
You know what I mean? I think they're taking the name and they were like, "Oh, look what he's doing," like that. And it wasn't bad by anything, but like it was hard for me to follow. It was hard for me to get into it. But I like the kind of route he took for it, where it's just like this place of Wakanda, where it takes place. Like this is supposed to be the most like advanced technological place in the universe.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? But it also has this thing where there's kings and queens, this antiquated way of doing things. Like how do you kind of bridge that type of thing? But that's a good way to go about it. You know what I mean? It's like how is this so advanced in one way and so kind of seemingly backwards with the times?
Well, maybe, but Marvel Comics has always gone out of its way to present. We have a futurist society. We have a cosmic organization, cosmic. Dang it, what's the word for cosmic societal structure that is technologically advanced? They're they're inclined
Spellbound.
Anything sufficiently scientifically advanced can be used as magic.
Well, I mean, more along the lines of individuals have powers.
We get you, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
What I like is you could also be speaking to Asgard in that.
Okay, that's fair. But societies around that structure, where you would think, because our own society has advanced beyond the monarch structure to a more democratic.
That's where I think he was going. Like, how is this still in place when?
Well, Marvel has combined these. That's what I'm getting at. Marvel has a history of doing this, and they've made it work in a lot of their different titles. And more you see that on the cosmic level, you don't really see that on Earth. And Wakanda is the exception to that. Wakanda has always been a structure that's operated under one king, who's also their primary protector. And the society itself has separated itself from the modern world. Not to say they're not modernized. In fact, in several of the books, bringing it back to Black Panther Adventures, it was chronicled in a couple of the titles that are contained within this anthology. That a long time ago, Wakanda stopped putting most of its government resources towards defense and conquering of its neighbors.
If that happened now, that would be a big,
Oh yeah, no, we'd be in
That's it. Like we need a $100 billion Navy because we have so many sea battles.
We're not in a good place in the American government right now. But Wakanda is in their own utopia, and they're a hidden society set in the center of Africa.
In my dreams, the president makes a tweet about Wakanda.
I imagine.
Like I can only hope.
What is Confefe, Kanda?
Oh yeah, no, Kofefe, the primary export.
I was gonna say, isn't that grown in
It
Wakanda?
was.
The main
That's what
export of
Confefe
Wakanda is
is.
Kofefe.
Yeah, we must ban all Wakandans.
Oh, that's
they've
so
kept-
good. We're
they've
rating
kept
his bad tweets for him.
They've kept
Oh,
their
no.
favorite for too long.
But like, can you imagine
I
like
can.
somebody talk to
That's
him
a
like, so
problem.
what's your main stance on Wakanda? And it's like
Something
him just
that's
like
gonna-
jumping in
Wakanda's a
on that.
beautiful country. I haven't been there, but everything I hear about it is fantastic. I think
Oh
we're
my
going to
God.
tax them as much as we can.
Remember
Oh,
the
no.
president of Wakanda? He was very receptive. He has a weak handshake though.
Oh my
No.
god.
But Black Panther Adventures, like I mentioned before, really discusses the early history of Black Panther, and a lot of these stories are they're acknowledging the advancements of Black Panther, the character in Marvel Comics today, but they're set in essentially a rehash of early Black Panther stories. The first time Black Panther met the Avengers, or worked with the X-Men. The first time, or one of the early stories of when Black Panther teams up with the Fantastic Four, and told in a very quick. Herb, I'm getting some feedback from my phone here. And we're getting a very quick, I guess, Saturday morning cartoon or Sunday level of story interaction.
Yeah, it was
really
never-
quick, the introduction, the meeting, the conflict resolution, all happened within a few pages.
Yeah.
Do you think that this is set up to just be an intro for people to get hyped for the movie? Like this is a jumping off point for
No,
people
totally.
who don't
Sounds
read
it,
comics?
yeah.
'Cause it sounds
I think
sounds like there was something, again, not to make everything like, let me bring it back to the Thal comics, but prior to Ragnarok, there were similar releases that were kind of like, here's a summary for you.
Yeah, I mean, it's not as well known for a lot of people. I think even on this show, I asked, I wasn't familiar with Black Panther as much, and I asked you, about its history. And you take him as
I've known-
essentially like a Black Captain America,
Pretty much.
more like in terms of like kind of the powers, you know what I mean? That he seems to
ability
possess.
wise, Black
Not
Panther
like
is-
culturally in any way, and what he means a different thing, but at least in terms of ability and such, that's how I kind of.
Well, yeah, it's gone on record on several comics as having Captain America said Black Panther is one of the few people that could ever fight him to a standstill. And you're right, societally and backstory-wise, Black
Nothing,
Panther is
but-
very different, but
Right.
ability-wise, yeah, Black Panther is on par with Captain America. That's always been the comics history. In the films, in the cinematic universe, the Black Panther we've seen portrayed standing against Chadwick Boseman, standing against Captain America, Iron Man, well, most of the Avengers really, has shown a slightly different, slightly amended power set in which more in line with Iron Man. A lot of the ability comes from the suit. He's able to jump tall,
Right,
jump
can,
on
withstand, a certain degree of damage and stuff like that.
Which I
without
think
being
shows
harmed.
growth. I'm very excited to see that employed because it'll add to the character. In the comics, I feel it's more of a stale power set, and I think that really addresses one of the reasons why a lot of people aren't as familiar with Black Panther as they are with the other Avenger members. He's always been more of a back burner character. Initially meant to show we have a prominent black figure in a popular book like the Avengers, but the Avengers hadn't always been a popular book, and a lot of the titles before the MCU came into play had fallen almost into obscurity.
I think the only
That's brought him back.
the
Black
only-
Panther.
comic I got of Black Panther before any of this was he basically took over the role of Daredevil in Hell's Kitchen. Well,
Yeah.
what book was that? Yeah, so he loses his powers, but he becomes a Hell's Angel's savior.
Yeah, that's the thing
after
they've done
Black
a lot in the last few years in the mix. I think you can attest to this too. They've had Black Panther be a substitute for certain characters.
Yeah, like a
most
fill-in,
notably-
you know what I mean? Which is kind of disrespectful in a way,
Well,
but
part of it
Maybe,
is
but-
that like it's just has been very underutilized. I mean, there's some really good like '90s storylines using Black Panther, and then of course like him marrying Storm was like a huge, awesome deal.
that was awesome.
That it's super awesome.
I'm glad you all like that. I didn't dig it. It felt too much to me like token black can only marry token black.
I mean,
And
I
that-
guess
I
it could be
get you.
seen like that, but like they are both literally like royalty. Like it kind of
They
makes
are,
like
but
they're
to
on
me-
par with each
But
other.
it
Like
seems
it's
Storm
not.
so obviously a thing. You know what I mean?
It was. I think it comes down to the interpretation. I myself didn't like it because I've seen a lot of those moves played for big comic stunts, and this anthology does acknowledge that, including when, at the point when Black Panther works with the X-Men for the first time. He's already had a pre-existing relationship with Storm, and they have their whole. It's kind of like a Hawkeye. Stuck on it. It's kind of like
Black
a
Widow?
No. A Hawkeye and Major Houlihan from MASH relationship.
Oh, okay, that Hawkeye.
Yeah. It's like they have.
No, I thought we're talking Marvel Comics.
I
I'm
know,
sorry.
no,
It's not the
not
Hawkeye.
anymore.
Well, that's why I was trying to point out quicker. So
Talking
that
Alan
misconception
Alda
wouldn't
here.
be made, but there's a backstory between them that you can tell. It's palpable. You can feel it in the air. But they have to have their own side conversation while the overbearing conflict is taking place. Anyways, this has gone far longer than I expected it to.
That's all right.
What we're getting at is the anthology of Black Panther is meant more to introduce new readers to Black Panther in preparation for the new movie coming out. And I'll give it a thumbs up, but it's going to be a very weak thumbs up because as a comic reader, as a fan of really action-heavy comics and where the story progresses, this reads more like a kiddie book, and I understand why, because a lot of these are retellings of original stories, of stories that originated a long time ago in Black Panther's history, and they're
It's also
just
like
getting
it
people
seems
up to
necessary,
speed.
you know, exactly
Yeah.
to get people up to speed. A lot of people like you want to say, be like, oh, you know, I've been following Black Panther, I'm really excited.
That's the only
But they
reason
want to
I'm
be
not
excited,
giving-
but they also want to know what they're getting into before they get there. They want to be able to
You know,
tell
Black
their
Panther
friends, like, I know
typically
what's
is
going
not
on.
as discussed, is not as approachable as many other. There aren't
Correct.
these like, you know, if you go to just a casual comics fan, you could be like, oh, what's your favorite Avengers storyline from the comics? And be like, oh, I liked, you know, Secret Wars. I liked whatever. And you can like bring up something. But Black Panther doesn't necessarily have those overarching moments.
That's
Not for the casual fan, yeah.
That's
Yeah.
the problem, and I'll say
Well,
something
that's what
right
I'm
there.
saying.
For the casual non-black fan, yes. For the casual black fan,
Even
you've come
that,
across
yeah.
no, my friend, you've come across Black Panther at several points, and the problem with Black Panther is her. Look at that echo. Maybe it's the-
The mic's
Oh,
cutting
sorry.
off a little bit, too.
But
Yeah,
for the casual black fan, you've come across several Black Panther stories because you're more inclined to search out black characters. And the problem with Black Panther is every one of those stories, the more prominent ones especially, have been wrapped in the story of some other figure.
Mm.
And not to make any big thing of it, but most notably the white characters that have been more prominent. Black Panther as a side character in Fantastic Four. Black Panther as a background character in Avengers. Black Panther as a friend of who's featured in this X-Men book. That's always been the case, and very few have called Black Panther themselves. So we've known Black Panther, but there just isn't that much solo stories for the character. So the reason I'm giving it a thumbs up is because that's what this book is attempting to do, and it's a soft thumbs up because the material has been out there. And I don't think it's too much for past comic fans to seek out those books, but because Marvel hasn't made them as readily available as they could, that's not the fans' fault. And I mean, I guess that's not the fault of any current generation, because things like Milestone Comics have shown that these things exist, and it's fallen on folks who create these to make them more available. We have the internet now where you can seek out these things when they're not available at your local comic shop or your local whatever outlet you get comics from. So there's fault to have on both sides. That's why it's not a thumbs down. That's why it's a thumbs up. It's a soft thumbs up. But I do recommend anyone who's unfamiliar.
No, it's fine.
I do recommend that anyone who's unfamiliar with Black Panther, this would be a good way to usher you in and just get you ready for the upcoming film release.
Well, that sounds like it's doing exactly what it needs.
I was just saying a couple years back there was that really good animated comic. I hesitate to say animated show because what it was one of those like barely any movement shows. But there was the Black Panther one for that, and
Starring
it
Jimon
was
Hounsou.
so good, and
Really?
it had the best theme song.
Bokeem Woodbine?
No, voice work by Jimon Hounsou, voice work by
It was
Malik, voice
so
work
good.
by-
It was absolutely phenomenal.
I think Ving Rhames.
It was just
on there. A lot
really,
of
really,
people-
really good. Strong story, and again, like just it had one of the best opening themes. I
The problem
think
with that is
of
they
anything.
ran on BET, which
Yeah.
was both good for it and bad for it
It's-
because it limited
it
the
just-
audience
yep.
range, and I think it limited the respect that a good show could have gotten. So it's very important that things like the movie are being so well received, at least prior to.
Yeah,
it.
but if
So
you're
I'm
if
hoping
you're
it doesn't
listening and you're
suffer.
looking for something like, hey, I don't really know much about Black Panther, what's something I can easily absorb to get into it? I recommend seeking out the Black Panther miniseries. You can find it a couple different places online.
Online,
Well,
probably
people
on YouTube, I
forget, too,
believe, as
it's
well.
okay to be lost sometimes, too. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
You
I
don't
mean
have
the
to go
movie
in.
the
Like,
movie
I
is
think
meant
you
to be
can-
standalone. You don't have to have a background. But I'm saying if you're like,
Right.
oh man, I'm so hyped for Black
Yeah.
Panther, what's a really good jumping off point? This would be a really accessible way. It had a really clear storyline, and it really set up things
so
in
many
an easily
hardcore
understandable.
Iron Man fans before 2007.
Right.
Robert Downey
Right,
Yeah,
like
right.
everybody knew every story about, like,
Hey
we
man,
all were
I got
big
that.
Ant-Man fans, right?
I got that laminated copy of Demon in a Bottle.
Yeah. Well, it's like even Guardians of the Galaxy. That wasn't. There's no
Guardians of-
story in
oh,
which they
man.
were all together like that.
How?
You know what I mean?
There hasn't been. There
How
wasn't any
dare you
big.
besmirch the Guardians of the Galaxy?
Look, before
they're all together just in that.
But
right
Yondu
lineup.
had that giant boat. No, it's the worst.
Okay, no,
Guys,
ser- no,
guys,
seriously,
so
I was
90s
just about-
Guardians
I was
is
just
so
about to
bad.
say that. Thank you.
So
Before
bad.
the movie came out, how many
90s
people
Guardians
even
is
knew?
so bad.
Let alone
Nobody.
knew who Yondu was.
Me.
Even pick this dude out of a lineup and identify
2 out of the 4 people here.
what the hell he
Actually,
looked
3,
like,
sorry.
because Yondu
He got
had
a big
this
fin.
big, weird ass fin. I
He
don't
also
mean like
wore
Savage Dragon
he had a
big.
loincloth.
I mean, yeah, he had those
Mhm.
shoulder pads
Yep.
that came up into these big.
The first
I don't even
comic,
know what you
You
call
look like
them.
one of the Road Warriors from wrestling.
fun mix
No,
macabre fact,
he
though.
made humongous looked almost formally dressed
Boy,
compared to the
The
original.
first
you got a fun
comic,
fact?
the first comic I ever bought with my own money was in I can't remember the exact issue number offhand, but it was in 1994, and it was the Return of Yondu issue of
Wait,
Guardians
where
of the
did Yondu
Galaxy.
go?
I have no idea because this is where I started.
To
And
lunch.
it's terrible.
The
But
Return
the
of
cover
Yondu
art,
from the
the
unemployment
cover
line.
art is this terrible
Getting
drawing of
jumped.
Yondu just like pulling his bow, but like his feet are at like a jaunty angle, and he's wearing like one exposed shoulder in his terrible outfit.
Like my mom in the 80s.
Well, of course, Yondu had to cut off one breast because Amazon's classic.
Amazon was getting.
No, I will be fair. The only reason
Oh,
I knew
gosh.
these things, we talked about this actually. I had the full
Yeah.
collection of the 1994, and then eventually the full collection of the 1995 Fleer Marvel.
Yikes.
Clear. Wow,
Yeah.
like a basketball card almost.
Well, yeah, the notoriously well done, like a set of comic cards. That, I mean, the years before were crap. They were like
Sure, they
cartoonishly
kind of
drawn.
had this like
and they
shimmering kind of
Yeah, it was 1994, and then to a lesser degree 1995, where for some reason they get all these like
They'd have all the
amazing
cool-
painters.
All the cool Nova characters.
Yeah, well, okay, you got. Hey, I learned
Name-
all about the cosmic characters from those,
No.
but they were like impossibly done, like
My
Bob
boy
Ross and
Speedball.
beyond level work for comic characters. They're all like nicely painted, well lit. They all looked really like cinematic and awesome.
And they
And they
were
had
all
the
in
most-
a forest.
And they had
Happy
like
trees.
they only had like a paragraph description on the back, but it was like in
No, I
that
had
paragraph
this
you
too.
got more information than you did from like reading
Any of the
entire
books,
runs of the
yeah.
comics.
Wow.
Yeah, and I knew all these. And I studied them. I'm like, wow, I read DC, but Marvel Comics.
Clear
So, of course, I went out and got the comics afterwards. I'm
No,
like,
I'm
what
so
the hell
sorry.
kind of crap
Yeah,
is this?
that's not.
Why
Well,
is there
so
so
one
many
person-
pouches on this fool?
It's not a
One
good
company
era.
did their job, and the other
One company,
didn't
Fleer
deliver.
nailed it. I'm like, cool. I'm gonna get the next year's match and see what the hell it's all
Morbius,
about. And
I better
got-
check this out.
Yeah, and then I got the 1995 Fleer cards, and I'm like, who got fired?
But they were basketball
I
cards.
say like I don't have every
Yeah.
issue of the 90s Morbius.
No, I-
Every single Rise of the Midnight Sun
Well,
crossover.
To be fair, I don't think out of just like sheer respect for themselves, comic shop wouldn't carry the whole run. I remember several of those issues.
These are better.
Man, okay, I fell out of it so hard for so long. I went back to reading Justice League Elite, where they were featuring Bronze Tiger as like the main
Ooh,
character.
A
okay?
Squad
That's-
there.
Yeah, that's how badly Marvel
Bronze Tiger.
started.
He's third place
I was
Tiger.
fooled. Bull was pulled over.
Right
eyes.
behind Tony the Tiger
Okay,
and
look.
Tiger Woods.
Okay, here's how bad it was. I retired from Fleer and got the 1996 Flair collection of Spider-Man cards. Okay, that's how bad.
The only cards I ever had
Talking
were the
about
Next
Demo
Generation
Goblin,
ones.
Goblin Queen. is
Yo,
prominent
Goblin
character.
Queen is
Nah.
Goblin Queen. Don't are you? You're
No,
oh my
let's
god.
not
I
get into
am.
it.
I am.
Pat
Let's
is
not
dunking
get into
on
it.
Goblin
Adam, on a
Queen.
show called The Geek Down, I think
I can't believe you're dunking on Goblin
I
Queen.
am dunking on Goblin Queen, on Demogoblin.
I'm so upset right
on,
now.
there's one more Goblin I'm forgetting. There was Hobgoblin, Green Goblin, Demogoblin.
Hobgoblin.
Don't make me
Goblin
name every
Queen.
Goblin.
No.
How many more is
I'm
there?
so upset right now that you
there's
dunk
those
on
four
Goblin
and one
Queen.
more I know I'm
All right,
forgetting.
but Goblin Queen is the best. She's got all that underboob.
Oh,
yeah.
Like what is it? When Norman came back and it turned out that he was banging.
It was Norm Macdonald.
That was the Grey Goblin.
Grey
Yeah,
Goblin?
yeah. Well, there was,
That was like- that was
always a gray.
That's too much like Grey Hulk.
Grey
We gotta- we
Hulk,
gotta-
Red
we gotta-
Hulk,
we gotta
Mr.
gotta get a
Fix-It.
hybrid interstitial. You know what? We're taking away from Divinity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just Johnny's over there. He's looking pissed off. I want to know why, my friend. Gonna
Yeah.
kick it over. Just Johnny got to play Divinity 2 Electric Boogaloo. Give us the lowdown, sir.
So, Divinity 2 Original Sin, sequel to Divinity Original Sin.
They're doing
It
original
was-
sins left and right.
That was a
Moonwalking on sacred ground.
that was a Kickstarter game that became very successful, and it was a Kickstarter game for a franchise, the Divinity franchise, which is this old top-down isometric action-y ish more tactical
Wait, now from what I looked,
RPG
from what I
series.
saw, it looked a lot along the lines of similar to the Dynasty series.
Dynasty.
Yeah, you know Dynasty. Dynasty Warriors.
No, definitely not.
Okay,
No,
all right,
this
then
is-
lay it
this
on me,
is
dude.
a,
I've been
Dynasty.
misinformed.
Yeah, so
Dynasty,
what?
full soap operas and Divinity.
So it's a PC sort of mainstay back in like the late 90s and early 2000s, where just about most of the PC games were either RTSs or tactical action-y RPGs, point and click RPGs. And Divinity was one of the lesser ones known about it. They came out. They did the Kickstarter to reboot it. It came out. It was absolutely fantastic. And now this is the sequel to the first one that was really, really well done. And it just does everything the first one does. It does every single thing way better. It sort of streamlines because there were definitely problems with the first one. The writing wasn't done as it was very hammy, and sort of like all the characters were just they'd go way over the top on their voice
This would be
acting.
the first
and
video
way
game
over
to
the
have
top.
like a corny story and poor voice.
Yeah, right.
No. It wasn't poorly executed. It was just hammed up for the sake of just being just over the top. Think like Robin Hood, and Men in Tights, like that level, like the Princess Bride, that level of
that's
like
the franchise.
weirdness. So
Okay,
it's like
all I'll
taking
say
that
is
level
we're
of
Man in
humor.
Tights. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's
I
like
don't think I've
taking
watched
that
that in
level of
20 years.
humor into a more serious RPG, tactical RPG experience in this very
Wait, so this is like the gritty reboot.
this
Gritty reboot of Divinity.
So Divinity
A proper
Original Sin
one,
is sort of like a reboot of the entire franchise. And the first one they didn't pay. So what I would say is they didn't pay too much attention with the story, not so much the story, but the writing and making the characters. But they did. It was just they made them. Every character was just completely non-serious, over the top in everything that was happening. They were overly flamboyant. They were overly dramatic. They were overly comical for the sake of being one of the first characters that sort of guides you throughout the story in the first one was this mage that loves turning into a cat any time they can, and always like talks about how great it is to be a cat and doing all these catsy things.
Kind of is great to be a cat. Sleep anytime you want.
Oh.
People bring you food.
All the time.
Oh
Poop
yeah.
all over the place and pretend, I had an accident again. The
Those
regurgitation.
definite
Fucking hairballs like claiming you a territory.
definite
that
nods
smell
to
gets everywhere.
bestiality in the first one.
You went there.
The game went there. I didn't go
All right. Divinity.
there. Yeah.
Wait. Hold on. A game called Divinity.
Yep.
Original Sin. You would think there'd be some kind of like holy theme to it.
It eventually builds its way towards that, and so in the first one, it's about your characters and how you realize your characters are way more important into the story. Same thing here, except done from a different perspective. So the first game has you as source hunters trying to solve this murder mystery, and that's a big chunk of the first part of the game is figuring that out and going to different places, gathering clues, almost like
killed the
sleuthing.
cat.
You kind of feel like a Scooby-Doo type of thing is going on because you have to talk to a lot of different NPCs. These
There's nothing more
Just
awful
like-
than
just like the
NPCs.
first game, the second one is also very heavy into the role playing and into the NPC character interactions and talking to other people in town. But unlike the first one, there are multiple ways in Divinity Original Sin 2 to do or solve or to progress in a sub
I
quest.
was really hoping to say to do harm to these people that it annoys.
Well, yeah, you can outright kill NPCs. There's none of the invincible.
Can I have fun with it?
Yes.
I've
You
tripped
can-
them into a trench. They can't swim. I watched them drown in the puddle.
They die. Whatever story
I beat them to death
or
with their
quests
own
are
puppet.
associated with them are gone, but you can still progress in the game. It's very out there and sort of like how multifaceted it is with and how flexible the story is. Where you try to test it and you bend it and it doesn't break. It's like, oh, you wanted to do this other thing and kill this character that you think is integral to the entire end game sequence. Nope. sure, go ahead, kill it, and we'll just accommodate for that in this other way, and it adjusts. So that's one part of it that it executes better. The writing is better. It's toned down when it needs to be toned down. It's ramped up when it needs to be ramped up. In the first one, you could talk to one of the parts that made it so whimsical is that you could talk to, if you pick up a certain talent, you could talk to animals. And in this one, they brought that back. And yeah, in this one, they brought it back, and that's just one of the elements that makes it so interesting is that not only are the animals in this one especially, are they useful, but in the first game, it was like every animal was useful. They're always going to give you something useful. This one, there's this random crab on the beach, and you go and talk to her. It's like, I am this great sorceress person. Don't
Like
mess
Willow,
with me.
almost.
I am
Seems
amazing.
legit.
And
Everyone knows crabs are really terrible conversation.
Yeah.
And that's it. It's just you go down like this massive dialogue tree with that crab talking about how grand they are and how powerful they are, and all of a sudden it's like, no, that's the end of it. But then there's
how
this.
delicious they are.
But then there's this
Crack is-
fiery.
Yeah, can you eat the crab?
You can, yeah. And then there's this fiery in this other area entirely. There's this fiery slug queen, and if you don't have the pet talk talent, you can't talk to them, and they immediately start attacking you. But when you do talk to them, you find out this entire like backstory lore, how she was betrothed to this Baraxis guy who's apparently like this super in the first game. I don't know if it ties directly into the first game or not, but ties into like this super powerful sorcerer user. Transforms this princess into the fiery slug, leaves her in order to do his own things. Meanwhile, her and all of her sort of royal court are all slug people, and she commands over all of them. And she wants you to announce to the rest of the world that because you tell her that Braxis is now dead, she then asks you to announce to the world that she is free and available for any new prince-like suitors.
Yeah.
And
As a
it's
slug.
just out as a slug.
I'm so here for this.
Well,
It's
hold on
out
a
there
second.
as a
This
flaming
sounds
slug.
interesting and weird to me. I'm
I mean,
hearing
is
some
there any
sign
other
over here
better
on my right
kind?
side. Mix, you seemed unimpressed for a while.
No, you can eat the crab. This sounds great.
Okay.
I can go talk to a crab and then just shove it in my mouth. This is a wonderful open. I eagerly await to play in this world.
Yeah.
Have you played the original?
No.
first?
No.
Okay. So this is all new stuff.
Yeah. This is new stuff that you'll see, and this is also stuff that's very early in the game. So the start of this game is you are a source user, and source users in this universe are like they're thought of as being very evil people because source is sort of like it's like mana, but it's soul. So you're like draining someone's soul, or what people
Very
believe,
appealing.
draining their soul in order to
Goals.
use these superpowers.
So you're
and
not a
things
good
like that.
person.
Well, you're accused, and therefore you go to prison. This sort of source user prison. It's kind of like Alcatraz, and that's the first segment of this game where it is escape from Alcatraz. But because it's so open-ended in how you can figure out many different quests and many different subquests and how to get out, and each one of them will allow you to do it, or you could do multiple ones at the same time, or just like kill off entire branches of a way to escape. Like there would be
Sounds
this one
very
guy's
noble.
like,
To kind of
get
like
me this
Crypto,
one
except
device.
Instead of exacting revenge on my specific enemies, I'm just like destroying and sending everybody to hell left and right.
Yeah.
Oh, you
Yes.
drive this boat, you're going to hell. Oh, you sell fruit on the corner, you're going to hell as well.
You can save people, not save people. So that's once again, that's all like the storyline stuff. Very good, very fantastic.
What about the gameplay itself?
The gameplay is just like the first one, and what made the first one so interesting, and this one takes it to the next level, is that it has this big mechanic where you're laying down these surfaces on the ground itself, and these surfaces, and also the weather itself and the environment, sort of have a play. So if there is a pool of water, someone standing in a pool of water, you can shoot a lightning attack and electrify the water, and anyone standing in that water, or it doesn't even have to be water. If you attack someone with a weapon and they bleed, right? Blood is also made of water. So you can electrify the blood pool, and anyone standing in that blood pool gets electrified.
Neat.
That's cool.
I just got a little giddy.
Yeah,
That's
it's
cold-hearted.
Yeah, that sounds
wild
neat.
like that. If there are like oil barrels around, or if there are mech-based creatures, you can attack them, instead of blood, they bleed oil. And then if you have fire available to you, you can ignite that oil, and it explodes in this wondrous fiery.
Dude, that'd be
inferno.
hardcore. It's like you make you bleed, then you're gonna electrocute the blood, and like,
yeah,
that's
I'm
like great fatality
loving
from
this
Mortal Kombat right there.
so hard. Okay. Now here's the legitimate question, because I play Fallout and I'm a horrible person.
Yep.
So I just spend hours on end, days if I can swing it. Just being the most sadistic a-hole as I can.
Yep.
In the wasteland.
Better to get it out there than in the real world, I guess.
I think so. So
We're all there.
is this the game where eventually you have to jump back on the rails and play the quest and scenarios, or can I just decide to free roam and just be the most heinous, ungodly, unholy, sadistic SOB that I can?
Well,
Purely for kicks and giggles.
so the scope is
Malevolence is my middle
significantly.
name.
The scope compared to like an open world RPG is significantly smaller, right? You have these big open environments, but they are smaller, contained, big open environments. So, like the opening area is this Alcatraz-like island. You're confined to this island in all the different sort of caves and places that this island leads to. You're not able to sort of go to other places immediately and like just really go off the beaten path. But while you're there are very much multiple things for you to do.
Okay. So it sounds like gameplay's moving you. Story is moving you more than it was in the original version.
Yes.
Okay. So I mean, dude, would I be out of my way in guessing your
Oh yeah, definitely.
place in guessing this is a positive?
This is a definite thumbs up. I mean, the first game is fantastic, and this game does everything that the first one does, but better. It's available on Steam, and just Steam, and it's for $45 on Steam.
Oh, not a bad hit. Still a hit. Not a bad hit.
Yeah.
Especially since you had such a positive reaction to it.
Well, it's worth a full traditional $60 price tag. It's absolutely worth that, and the fact that they're only charging $45 for this is, like this is a 100-hour-long game. Oh, best part?
Yes.
Multiplayer from the start. The entire campaign, the story campaign, is playable. I can't believe this is like a very important thing. It's entirely.
How can you forget this, Johnny? Come on.
It's entirely multiplayer.
Game.
You could play with three other people, so do 4-player co-op, and
all of you just molesting cats.
as you're
whole
talking
time.
to NPCs, the other people that are playing in the same game as you, they can do other things or make decisions that contradict your story-based decisions, and then you'll have a fight. You have to actually fight it out with one another to decide what the group is ultimately going to do. It's wild.
All right, hey, more power to you. It sounds I don't know what to make of that last part, because you just said you can fight over what to do with the game. So I'm like, you all can bicker back and forth and get nothing accomplished.
Well, when it gets to like a major decision, yeah.
All right, okay. Hey, it sounds like living in a dorm room.
Yeah,
Go for it.
Yeah, like should this person live or die? And you say, oh, they should live, and the other person says they should die, and it's like,
you decide whether who lives or dies, just like I did in my dorm room. Sure.
Yes, I think we all were there.
All right, Divinity Original Sin 2. It got Johnny sexually excited. We recommend you check it out. All right, now I'm going to kick it over to Mix Macabre.
Speaking of sexually excited.
Indeed. You got to play House Party.
Hachi.
Available right now for Steam.
Yes. I think it's in beta. I think it's in beta. All right, I'll get the negatives out of the way first.
Well, what is House Party?
It's Leisure Suit Larry meets The Sims. So you're a dude showing up at his friend's house party. It's a first-person perspective, and you're just going around this house party talking to people, and there's quest chains of you. Your goal is to bang one of the attractive chicks at this party. You can do so by talking with them and filling up a meter of them liking you, or you can also be doing quests for them. What kind of sucked was that it's being first person. You're using the cursor to kind of look around and moving. I mean, I'm playing. I don't have like a gaming setup. I just have like a regular laptop. So I'm using a mouse, and then you're just using the keypad to move around. And it just wasn't very intuitive. It was kind of hard. I even ended up switching the keys around, and it's kind of janky.
Like an FPS control.
Yeah, it's not great. It's just not great. Like, because you'll like turn around to go click something, but you'll turn too far. Then you gotta turn back. And I played with all the variables of mouse cursor sensitivity. It just they got some work to do on that.
I don't see a
sounds
problem
really
with it.
weird.
In
to-
real
It's
life,
real weird.
I operate with
Like
Tekken
you don't
controls.
have a
I don't see what the
cursor
problem
on the
is.
screen. It's just like you looking forward, and then you have to move your whole line of sight. Like you can't. There's no free cursor to click in your field of vision, which I don't love.
No, that's
But-
very realistic. See, I unfortunately was born without a spine, ladies and gentlemen, so I can only.
Yeah, it's real
turn.
weird. But then, so anyway, so your options are usually to talk to someone or to inspect them, and then you can also interact with objects, which was pretty fun because somebody's like, oh, this one girl, for example, wants whippets, and the name of her quest chain is "I'm not whipped, bro," and she is asking you for whippets, and you can either like shame her for wanting whippets and be like, "What are you in third grade?" or you can go help her find whippets. So you go look in the fridge, try and find the
Some
the
aerosol, yeah.
yeah, but you can
Of course,
also just
Johnny
like
has-
you can reach in and grab a sausage and throw it at someone. Always fun. So like it's goofy, but it's just it's a lot of bro humor. Again, like I am so not its target demographic, but it had its charms because you can go chat with you. There's one guy who I appreciated who had kind of a Boston punk accent actually, and he's straight edge. And if you talk to him, he's like, "I heard there's people drinking here," and he's like. Gives you this rant about like how he's gonna go like beat up someone who keeps trying to offer him booze,
Well, I saw that part.
the way that you go away from him, you can be like, I'm gonna go drink some orange juice, gotta go by, and like, there's some witty pieces to this.
Well, no, that part I actually like. I watched a lot of gameplay videos in prep for this. I didn't get a chance to play it myself, unfortunately.
Yeah,
But the guy you're
I
talking
gave it a
about is
solid playthrough.
Frank, who he's not
Yeah,
just
yeah.
straight edge, and he's not just like I'm
Yeah,
making
no,
sure
no,
everyone's safe
he's-
at this party. He will physically fight
Yes,
you
yes.
if you
Yes.
try to drink at this
Yes.
social event.
If you
were
walk up to
invited
him, one of the options is like, I'm already wasted, bro. I've had 12 shots. He'll punch you in the face.
Wow.
It's like he just goes there to have a
Straight
bad
up.
time.
He'll straight up. So,
We all have friends like that.
but yeah, so
hey,
I
I'm here to
Yeah.
make sure you're just as
Honestly,
miserable.
if
Yes.
like I said, I'm not the target demographic for this game, but I feel
Not
like
a straight
sure?
edge bro dude from.
well, the game's making fun of the straight edge bro dude. This is for the non-straight. This is for the Chad contingency, if you will.
Don't be a
And
shit.
the Chads, if you will probably enjoy this game. It's not bad. Like I kind of give it like a mild shrug. You know what I mean? Like thumbs up, thumbs down. I give it a wiggly thumbs up because if I were the target demographic, I feel like it would be really enjoyable. For me, it's like a weird anthropological like, ooh, this is why I never went to house parties in college because boy, do I hate everyone in this.
Oh, so you're
So
saying this was
Every
this
chat.
was
Yeah.
We
realistically representative of the college of the
Yeah, it was like
high-
a bro
of the
dude
high-
house party.
experience.
Like you can go talk to some girl over by the hot tub, and she'll be talking to you, and he'll be like, "Oh, can I get your number? I lost mine," or something like like
Right.
bad pickup lines. And
Dude.
there's another like there's two sisters that you can play against each other, and like one of them is you spill stuff on her clothes, and then you gotta go put her clothes in the dryer, so she just like stands there naked, and then like if you end up doing her quest chain, she gives you a sexual favor, and you win the
Ah.
game.
Well,
Like.
That
One
is
thing I
winning the
noticed
game,
about that
yeah.
stuff is a lot of the people at the party hate all the other people at the party.
Yeah, why? Whose friends are these? It's awful. Derek,
don't
man,
know.
needs
They
some
were-
new friends.
Well, it's like a side quest in Divinity because everyone here seemed like they were in their own version of hell. There's the one guy
It was
who's like,
just-
people are drinking and I'm against this.
Yeah,
What's
it was
going
real
on?
wild. But
And
I
then
mean,
the one girl who won't stop dancing.
It's like
even
John
if there's
Cusack
no
at the
music.
party from
yeah,
16
like one
Candles.
girl, just her whole quest line is just she complains she's too hot and too cold, and you have to keep going back to the thermostat and adjusting it. It's like very surreal. But part of the thing that you can do with this game is actually make your. I couldn't do this, and I was playing obviously like a demo version of it. But you can actually set up your own game and set up your own quest lines and set up your own interactive stuff. So it has that kind of Sims element to it. And something did disappoint me because it seemed like all of the male characters had the same interest bar as the female characters, but nothing I did would get them to be at all interested.
They knew.
Okay.
So I was very disappointed. I tried talking to all of them as friendly as I could. I used up almost all of the positive discussion topic options. They didn't budge. They just had a big
Jesus.
not interested,
Come on, Chad.
empty interest bar, right?
I think
Sometimes a
it's-
Chad just wants to,
Wearing his
hang out with his
Patagonia
bro.
hat matched with his Patagonia
He
vest.
takes his pants off when he plays Xbox. It's just what you do.
Yeah.
So overall, you're giving us a thumbs up.
I want to
Come
give it like
sideways.
I want to give it like a thumbs up if you're not me. Like I personally don't really
That's
want to
the
play it
thing.
again.
Gotcha.
But there's nothing inherently wrong in this game. If you're sitting here like Leisure Suit Larry meets The Sims, boy howdy, I want to play that. You'll probably enjoy it.
Okay.
It just needs some kinks worked out of it. But
It
again,
needs more kinks.
it does. It actually does need more kinks too. It's really,
Whoa.
really bland. Like
Whoa.
I will tell you right now, the sexual content in this is incredibly bland.
Like
Sounds
any
like
chat.
some non-chads made this.
It's just bland. It's just like, ooh, look at. Take it back to my room upstairs, a wink wink. Like, it's not.
No, I think
They're
you
holding
may
back
have,
on the extra X rating.
Yeah.
Or something.
Maybe.
I think you may not have played to the game's full potential because apparently one of the people wandering around is a porn star. And
Yeah, that's the
and-
most boring one, Pat.
Really? Oh, that's unfortunate. And I had high hopes
It's
for this.
so
I
boring.
know if you play the sisters against each other,
Yes.
one, you can completely blackmail
Yes.
in the most wonderful internet trolly type of way. Where it's like, I'm going to put these pictures all over social media if you don't
That's
do
the thing.
this.
That's what doesn't
And
attract
then-
me to it. That's what makes me be like,
Well, no,
I
and
don't
it
want to do
shouldn't.
this.
It shouldn't, but I'm saying
I
I
don't wanna
observed this
play
game
this.
going nth degree. And the thing is, it was probably more fun to watch than to play.
Well,
Because a lot of the
it's terrible to play.
attempts that I saw required restarts and very precise action.
Well, that's the
just
thing
to see
too.
a breast.
You could
that
easily
was, like,
goof
the
up.
primary-
You could goof up if you accidentally like, oh, I better give this girl her whippets. But if you accidentally gave her like the cheese, that's the end of it, buddy.
Yeah.
She's
Like, one
pissed at
girl
you
likes
now.
rum, but if you give her wine instead, oh, how dare you!
I-
Another chauvinist.
Yeah,
God, How did that come into giving you a
Because
drink?
none of the okay,
sounds
let me
real
lay
to me.
let me lay it out for you.
Dating's hard,
Sounds
man.
real.
Let me lay it out for you. The people who made this game have never touched a boob.
I'm pretty sure. I feel like you've never
They've
touched a boob.
never touched a
Yeah,
human
I
Never
think
been to an
breast.
actual- never been to an actual
obvious,
party.
isn't it?
The soft warmth of a human breast has never been in their hands that they used to code this game.
Well, just the hateful rage in
Maybe-
some of these missions. There's one where
Yeah,
you're
like there's a
playing-
lot of negativity in this game.
Oh, totally. Did
I
you
mean-
play the sisters against each other?
Yes.
Okay, because you can go through the game and prep for a mission. You close and lock all the bathroom doors.
Yes.
Then, to get a sexual favor from one girl who hates her sister, you go to the sister and offer to wash her.
That's what I was
Offer to
talking
wash
about.
her
That's what I was
clothes
talking about. You offer to
for
wash
her.
her clothes for her, and you put them in this like, and the dryer's like weirdly bouncy. There's a lot of surreal elements to this.
You can then give her a drink while she waits. That you put
While
eye
she
drops
stands there
in.
naked, don't mind you. While
Yeah.
she stands there fully naked,
Well,
Because
the
you're
game.
so charming, you've got her to take not just her clothes off,
and her
Well, you
underwear
still
goes
have to
for
be
her
sleazy
underwear
after
as well.
that.
Yeah.
and then you put her in a situation where she needs the bathroom badly. You've gone through and locked all the doors, so now she's stuck having to walk through the party naked, and then she's crying out for help. But you've got the bathroom. You can give her.
This is awful.
Oh
Never
no!
touched a
It is.
human
It is.
boob.
It is.
That's
It
awful.
is
that's
spectacularly
my official review.
horrible.
Never. The developers have never touched a human boob.
Yet still.
Well,
House
it's still,
Party.
it's still in early access, so who knows? Maybe they'll add in better
That's the thing.
boobology.
All right,
will
so
be
I'm
the
dunking
most-
on it.
the
I'm
most
being funny.
Appropriate,
but-
feminist example of gaming by
'cause
the time they're done.
Well, here's the thing. Like, not every game has to appeal to everybody. And if you're, a 19-year-old boy, maybe this is the game for you. But it's okay. Like, I'm
That's okay, right?
surprised
Yeah.
by how thorough they are. Like, I want to give them props almost for, like, I'm really impressed with just how much dialogue, terrible though it may be, there's an awful lot of interactions.
Well, true. Yeah, we're
There's an
bagging on it, but
impressive
to be
amount.
fair-
There's an impressive amount of interactions in this game.
To be fair, it is thorough. You're right, and they do go deep into the quest
So
themselves.
good,
I think
good
it's
for
more.
you guys.
Yeah, it's if you're of the right audience.
Yeah.
I think you're right. I think,
A for
I'm glad you
effort.
gave it a thumbs up. I think it does.
Because I give it a thumbs up because just because it doesn't appeal to me doesn't make it a bad game.
It's a good
not
distinction too.
inherently-
People
it's
forget
not
that all the time.
inherently
You're right.
a bad game. It just isn't. I'm not going to sit down and say, "Oh, I want to play House Party again." But again, if you're like, "Oh, I want to
Man,
see,
you're
I
gonna
want
be
to
real
see a
upset with your birthday
pixelated boob," I want. Dude, I don't have. I just got a new game called Tusks, which is a gay orc dating sim. So I'm busy.
That
Tusk
sounds
reminds me
awesome.
of the Kevin Smith movie.
No, don't bring that up. Don't bring that up.
Oh,
We're not
sorry
going
about
there.
that.
We're not going there.
Okay, all right.
No.
Discuss
I'm
the
already
movie.
upset.
All right,
No,
so
no.
Okay.
House Party available right
Yep.
now on Steam for $15.
All right. And now you've been waiting
You have.
patiently with a zen-like patience, and now Black Adam Willis is going to give you the inside stuff, the lowdown.
Oh man, you're gonna have to
the
help me
proper,
with this
the
because
propers.
yeah, we got what do we got?
We are talking about Cloverfield Paradox. It's the latest movie out from Netflix right now in the Cloverfield series franchise. I was gonna say trilogy, but they've actually
They're
announced that
already
they
got
have
yeah, they got more coming.
part 4
But
made
this just
and
came out of
getting ready to
nowhere.
go.
It
It
just
seems
plopped
all of a
out
sudden
there.
it plopped
Yep.
out there. All of a sudden you get, from what I understand too, is a 30-second ad during the Super Bowl that cost $5 million,
Yes, that's
Great.
correct.
which is like
Love
it just
it.
dropped out of like a Dos Equis Machina, like out of the sky, and here's this movie, and then it got everybody to go watch it, and it tries so desperately to connect it to the events of
Yeah.
the first movie, and it's
Well, there's
just
a rich,
not something that happened. The first one came out in 2008, and this is like in the future, and they're in outer space, and they're on this spaceship, and they got to solve something. Is that there's this energy issue on Earth that could lead to
Well, I'll give the breakdown right
Or-
now. Cloverfield Paradox takes place in 2028, which is 20 years after the original Cloverfield
Right.
movie takes place in the year it was released 2008. Now, in 2028, Earth we've come to the end of our energy reserves. We've run out of energy. There's no way we can continue to generate enough to sustain the human race. We're just done, depleted. And they've estimated that
too
within
much
5
Wi-Fi
years,
being used.
Yeah,
They're just doomed.
people keep playing with their Roombas.
Yep.
Won't turn the lights off when they go out. It's crazy. What they've calculated is 5 years absolute max is the amount of energy left on Earth, and we're desperate. But what they've also come up with is a solution very similar. Now, this is one of the things that I thought was pretty cool that they did, or at least this movie did. In a minute. Is they've related the solution that this movie represents to Bill Nye's theory. And there's no hard evidence to back this up, but he theorized that the discovery of the God particle could possibly lead to mankind discovering a perpetual energy source, an inexhaustible source of energy that will eliminate the need for the methods we have in operation now.
Fossil fuels,
Fossil
etc.
fuels, hydroelectricity.
Well, it just
all
seems
that.
where the
Now-
first one's a monster movie, and that's why you're kind of
Well-
buying into, and then it makes it like this
Yeah,
hard
this is very different. The
I mean,
story here
physics
is
science movie. It just, I think the makers of this, like really overestimated the interest
totally,
of who wants to watch it, and
It felt like a very good movie for the Sci-Fi Channel,
correct,
and a very
which means it's a bad
mediocre
movie
a very mediocre
for
movie,
human beings.
striving to be. We're going to release this on Netflix instead of theaters, but it's just as good as what we released for theaters, and it just everything felt very cliche. I
Yeah.
mean, not to give away too much about it, but there's the main character is going. She has a tragic backstory where her children had passed away, and so she goes to work on this space station. And the main overarching plot, I don't know if I should.
Go ahead, yeah.
They basically punch a hole through to an alternate reality.
It's basically erases Earth.
It sounds like that's going to be super cool, and then it's just like not very cool at all.
Yeah. No, it seems like when you said this,
It just isn't very like, whoa, that's the plot, and you get there and you're like, I should be way more interested in this, but I'm just not.
yeah. When you said like, I'm not the demographic for this. Like, I am certainly not that. Like I said, I think they overestimated who is going to be interested in like how people are like clamoring for more Cloverfield. I just don't think
It almost veered
at least not for me.
For those who saw Cloverfield Lane, which was only announced to have been a Cloverfield follow-up right before its release.
Yeah.
And for those who don't know that, really quick, that's the one where like a woman's in an underground bunker, she doesn't know what's going on, and then as time goes on, it's revealed that there's been like a cataclysmic event, and it turns out that there's like aliens and stuff. It's crazy.
She leaves,
and it takes place in the Cloverfield universe. This almost took a hard turn the opposite direction, where that movie was all suspense, thriller, and like figuring out like the pieces of like what's going on, why is she locked in this bunker, what happened, what cataclysmic event happened. This is almost like, a Star Trek episode.
Yeah,
which isn't bad in itself, but it's not the same demographic as Cloverfield, and to refresh people's memory, the original Cloverfield, which is all like supposedly, found footage almost, like shaky cam.
See, the second one, 10 Cloverfield Lane, actually works as a movie. You're right. And like as, it's got the suspense. You're trying to piece it together. This one just is right. It seems like it feels like an episode.
It feels like an episode of something. It feels like there's more that should be surrounding it that we're not getting.
But it's such a generic thing where the way even it was advertised like it was a, thing of Doritos or something like that. You know what I mean? And it feels as such. You know what I mean? This is like you advertise it that way. It's about as exciting for me.
Well, it runs into the problem of this was hyped at a major event, and Netflix assumed this was going to be a big reveal, and it's debuting right after the Super Bowl. So they gave the first advertisement for it during the Super Bowl at halftime.
Like $5
So-
million, like I said, that's an expensive one-off. You know what I mean? And given a lot of people are going to see it, but like
It is, but they did a very
Ah.
unique thing with this, where you didn't have to go to the movie theater
You
to see
put it
this
on.
major
Yeah.
release. You could watch it right after the Super Bowl. It was readily available, and a lot of people did. And I think that was very smart of them because they knew what they had here. This is not going to be a blockbuster. It's not going to be the dramatic follow-up to Cloverfield and 10 Cloverfield Lane that they hoped it would be. But I think somebody knew that, and they decided this was the right time to release it.
Yeah, 'cause
well,
they
this is
would've
how we're
released
going to
it.
release
Yeah.
this crap because
I mean, their
we got to
marketing.
get it hyped.
I don't fault their marketing. It's just, again, that's the thing though. It got me all hyped. Like, oh man, I love the Cloverfield movies. I'm really excited. Maybe this will give some insight into like where the monster comes from, whatever. And it just felt very bland.
Well, J.J. Abrams, if he does anything well, he markets a movie well. You know what I mean? Like
The
that.
director
He yeah.
Everything was very
He wasn't
cliche.
the
There was
director, but
nothing
he-
exciting.
Who directed?
What's his name? Julius Luna, which doesn't really have many credits to name. I don't know anything that they've done before this, but yeah, this seems and it has a lot of great actors too. You know what I mean?
A lot of good performances. David Oello.
Yeah.
Oello.
And he's, I
Um,
think, way too overqualified to be doing something like this.
Well, everyone had a pedigree, and I think the unfortunate
Rule,
reality,
yeah.
the unfortunate reality of Cloverfield Paradox is they had a script
Mhm.
that they've gone out of the way to tie to Cloverfield, the franchise, and then they needed actors with enough clout to make it seem like no, we're paying.
This is
we're
a
paying
legit,
attention.
actual movie that you should,
Exactly,
be
and they
happy to
chose
see
people
right away.
that should have been able to give great performances and did give, I think, the best case scenario performances they could
For what
give.
they were dealing with.
But the problem is, yes, they had not necessarily nothing to do, but they were wasted in these roles. They have Zhang Yi in this
Right.
picture playing, I won't say a nothing role, but kind of a side character, displaying none of her very well
That's what I'm
known
saying.
character,
Extremely overqualified actors.
abilities. Yes, it's just people are dispatched with no respect and no regard.
Yeah.
Which I mean, it's cool when it happens in a movie because you think, oh, George Clooney's in this. I guess he's living to the end, and then he doesn't.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool to see because they're actors playing a role that's not, oh God, well, it's automatically going to be Denzel's movie. That I
Right.
like, but the fact is they don't use anybody to full effect in this.
Yeah.
And that I think is a damn shame.
Well,
also,
that's
there's
what I meant.
two
It's just
different,
a
also, there's
waste.
two different movies
It's a
happening here.
waste.
And that's one thing that it's really jarring when you watch because there's a story of the people in the space station,
Yep.
which in itself is one contained story. A lot of stuff happens there, and it's really hard to follow. But if you watch it 2 or 3 times, which you can thanks to the wonders of Netflix,
Yeah.
you get the story and
really
things.
glad for punishment.
Even though they don't make sense, they're more coherent. You understand why they don't make sense.
But the
Then
first-
there's a story on Earth where there's the husband of the woman who's on the space station, our main character. And we don't know what the hell's going on with him because he's in the middle of a story that branches 5 or 6 times, and then you never get a follow-up. Because
Yeah.
it's like you're coming back in. Oh, perfect example. It's like you're watching a TV show. That one goes to commercial, so you switch the channel and you start watching the second show.
Watching something else.
Yep.
That's smart. Yeah.
Enough time has passed, you go back to the main show, and then commercials come around again, so you go back to the second show with no understanding of what's happened. They're just at a different point in the story.
Well, that's where I
and
come
you just
to
pick up and go.
with this movie. And the only thing I have to ask at the end of this is why. Like, why do what's
Well, because there
to
was
what
money to be
point
made
is this
at it.
movie? Yeah.
I think Johnny's getting a little antsy to know whether or not we give this a thumbs up. Or
I give it a thumbs down.
I give it a thumbs down because what I was going to say, it almost felt like something that would have worked better as a miniseries.
Mhm.
Not that I want more of this because it wasn't very good.
Well, that's it.
But
yeah.
it almost like
Just why?
didn't have enough time to do everything it wanted to do, and therefore many things fell flat. For example, the B plot, if you will, of everything happening on Earth was actually quite intriguing, and I feel like we almost didn't see it enough because it kept cutting back to the space station where I'm kind of going, I don't care about
My thing
any
there
of you.
was, what the hell's going on here in the first place?
Oof,
Because
oof.
they introduced a lot of, I won't say red herrings, but like false stars. The brothers driving through the wreckage, and then, well, first of all, the brothers just driving through the streets, and then we cut to the space station. Cool, action's going back there. We can cut back to him. There's wreckage all over the place, and he's He's frazzled. He's on the phone with somebody who we never see. And then we come back to the space station. Cool. We come back to him. Suddenly there's a little girl talking about her uncle's dead and the family. Where the hell did she come from?
Yeah.
Why is there just
But they
want to
feel like they're building suspense.
That's
They're
what I
just
mean. Like,
making
I feel like if
confusion.
this were like a
There is.
Sci-Fi Channel miniseries, it could have worked.
Right,
Would
this
have
is
been
like
if
right
it
after
was two different-
Sharknado. You can watch this.
Well,
Yeah.
if this was
Yeah.
two different ones that had the crossover section, like when Sharknado met Lava Lynch, that would have been.
But
a
you
thing.
get.
Hold on,
the
I want to hear
cheesiness
from.
of
I
it.
want to hear from just Johnny. You've been awfully
Lynch,
silent
yeah.
throughout this whole thing. You saw this
I saw this.
picture too. Give us your
I feel like
impressions.
they were all like,
Alright, so are you a thumbs up or down, real quick?
I want to hear your impressions first before I make my ultimate decision.
Oh.
Mine's up there. It's a thumbs down. I mean, I'm with all you guys. There's it's just a big giant mess and a whole lot of things that are derived from a bunch of other movies, especially Event Horizon. This movie doesn't have its
definitely,
own.
I can see that.
Yeah, doesn't have its own identity. And when it tries to get its own identity, is the parts where it tries to tie itself into past Cloverfield movies. That's when it's this is what makes this movie unique. Other than that, the main actress is the star of the show. She was amazing, and that arc, that part of the story, I actually really like. The decision that she had to make at the very end, like I felt that moment. A little tear came down from the eye. That
Wow.
part was the only thing
Johnny
about
was
this
touched
that
in
was
That's the worst
redeeming.
thing you've ever said.
It warmed the cockles of his.
Well, that to me that was the
cockles of his
only
black heart.
redeeming factor about this movie was her arc, her story.
no, I agree completely.
I don't think they executed it as best as they could because they
Clearly,
had that
yeah.
disconnect between her husband and her, cut into the husband. The husband moments were kind of like only there to help solidify, to help give that extra punch. To
They were
her
there to
story.
give her the wife's story more weight.
Yeah.
She has more to lose than we initially saw, and they really hammer that into your face.
And you can
as
run
the
with that
rest.
and make a good movie out of it, but it's the jumping around,
Well,
the convolutedness of.
Here's what it
of
leaves
everything.
the audience with, and I'm going to give my rating right now. I'm actually giving this a thumbs up. believe it
Get
or not.
out of my life.
And I'm giving it a thumbs up because it's not a great movie. It's not necessarily a good movie. But if you, and this is the caveat, if you go beyond this picture itself and see how they've ham-fistedly forced it into the Cloverfield mythos now, it's essentially a thing.
Which is unfortunate.
Not unfortunate. I think they had Cloverfield, and then they realized we can actually do something with this more than we had intended to. This is going to be a monster movie with a unique perspective. And coming into that, thank you for that non-biased opinion. And coming into it from that point of view, it was a unique thing they did about 10 years ago. Let it die. But then they came out with Cloverfield Lane, which we thought was going to be a direct sequel. It's not, but going beyond the movie itself. When you find out when you go to the website, there's also an associated game, and all the links they've placed between those. It's reminiscent of there was a TV show and game series Sci-Fi did a few years back called Defiance. And when you watch the TV show Defiance, it was just okay. When you play the game Defiance, it was just okay. But if you played the game and the TV show, they were symbiotic. And together, they were actually a really good story that, because they were so disjointed on their own, didn't really get much exposure to various audiences, and then didn't really have the strength to sustain itself over time. That's what I'm seeing in Cloverfield now. The individual movies themselves are just okay. The movies combined with the website, combined with the game, all that stuff has this really rich, ridiculously complex lore that is symbiotic. It all ties into itself and makes a really good story. That being said, I give this a thumbs up begrudgingly because, yes, in this picture, they failed because they tried to do too much. And essentially, they half-assed it hard.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
how
Now,
can you
to
give
the
a
point
thumbs
where
up to an
this
actual
picture-
thing you admit is,
You're not
is
listening to me. Let me
crap?
finish. Now, the reason I'm giving it a thumbs up is because they half-assed this. True, but they got a lot of good actors to make a script that was not initially meant for Cloverfield. This
Yeah.
was a separate movie that they, like I said, ham-fistedly forced into the Cloverfield franchise, but they've done so with legitimate effort, and they've gone out of their way to include certain things, several things that connect this to the other Cloverfield movies, which I think will, and I'm really going out on a limb here, will be redeemed with the fourth movie. It's incomplete right now. Donald Logue plays a guy, a conspiracy theorist who is much like the Bill Nye character that I mentioned earlier. And he, if you pay attention to his name, which you don't really get, they gloss over it in the movie, but in the
That was the guy in the TV screen, right?
yes, in the on the website especially, going beyond, you'll find that he is related to John Goodman's character in 10 Cloverfield as is the woman interviewing him, who is the woman, or at least played by the same actress. We haven't been confirmed yet, but it's likely the same woman who tried to break into the bunker on 10 Cloverfield Lane. You know, different things like that. The Megan, the daughter that John Goodman talks about endlessly in 10 Cloverfield Lane, was the girl that was killed at the end of the first Cloverfield movie. Also,
I thought that his daughter was another woman that he had kidnapped.
no, his daughter was named Megan. She died before. She's the main.
I've only watched the movie when it came out. I didn't watch it again, so I could be off.
You gotta follow the random stuff. There is like JFK assassination level of theories around this franchise. Which, if you go into all that crap and then you can fit how it fits into the Cloverfield franchise, this movie makes a lot more sense, and it's a lot better as a movie. But as a picture itself, you all